some manliness right there. So myself and the missus went away to Prague for a week recently. Why? Because it's a beautiful and historic city with a rich history and interesting culture. Nah, I went there for the same reason everyone else does, because it was lovely and cheap. Besides, I heard you get the best head in Prague, and as you all know, I certainly do love getting head. And I wasn't disappointed. I even managed to sneakily snap a picture for you guys to see. Hopefully, I won't get demonetized for this. Oh, just look at that. It's just filthy. Speaking of demonetized, I want to mention that today's video is brought to you by Patreon. Not the website itself, that'd be odd. No, I'm talking about those lovely lads and ladies that weirdly enable my antics on this site. Without them, I'd be forced to raise my prices when I sell my body on the street, and I'm already charging a $5 a go. I've recently updated it too, so regardless of what level of support you go for, you'll get early access to my videos, getting to see them a few days before they go live on the channel. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, I have a link in the blurb below. Anyway, so our week in Prague started like any other holiday. The missus packed about 3 months beforehand, though I think she did this because she thought the Czech Republic was an impoverished country, because she packed enough to clothe the entire city. Or maybe she did it because she knows this gimp right here is going to be the one to have to carry them. I'm already a walking, talking item holder for this woman as is, because seemingly everything she owns has fake pockets. She likes the look of a pocket, it seems, just none of the practicality of them. So,
hold this for a second.
Happens about 20 times a day. It's gone so bad that I saw a nice pair of combat trousers in a shop recently and she went, "Oh look, a handbag." So we got through the airport, and in typical fashion the plane was delayed for like an hour, which infuriated me because I was already straddling the line of frustration because the missus is borderline OCD and is stressing out, and it's grating me because she keeps asking me if I've packed everything, what gate we need to go to, and do I have my passport. Oh Christ, woman. Probably. Not even an apology from them about the delay. Although then again, we were flying Ryanair. They know too well, if you're flying with them, you probably didn't have any fucking choice. So we eventually boarded the plane. Thankfully the flight was only 2.5 hours, so I presumed it was going to be grand. But it turned out to be a 2.5 hour long battle between me and a dead arse because of the seat on the plane. Ryanair strikes again. The seat had all the padding of a tannin mitt, which means as soon as I stood up, I was in that weird limbo of not being able to tell if I had a dead arse or if my jocks had genuinely just gone straight up my crack. And you do have to stand up eventually just so you can stare at all these slow fuckers shuffling their way through the plane. I've never seen people move so slow in all my life. I couldn't help but think that if this plane burst into flames while I was sitting on the runway, and you're sitting any more than 5 feet from the door, and you're not the first one to get moving, you're done. So after we got off the plane in Prague, we had to make our way through the airport and got to the entrance to look for our driver, which is easier said than done because the entrance had about 100 people holding signs with different names on them. And even in current year, there's no real organised way to do this, so it's like a real life version of Where's Wally, except you don't know what he looks like, only that he's holding a sign with your name on it. And if that's not hard enough, your name is in a doctor's handwriting, so you probably wouldn't even recognise it if you spotted it. We even came across a chap holding a wide sign with nothing written on it. Of course we laughed because he had obviously faced the sign the wrong way, and I was joking thinking maybe whoever booked it online never filled out the name part and the company just rolled with it. So our search continued for about another 20 minutes, and by this time the herd had thinned, so there's very few people left, made up mostly of us and frustrated drivers who had now resorted to approaching people individually. A few of them approached us a few times, uttered some random foreign name, I'd say no, and then they moved on to the next person, until good old Mr. Blank Sign started walking straight towards us. I won't lie, I couldn't wait for him to approach us. I was mad to know how he was going to pronounce a blank name that didn't exist. But he walked up to me and said, "Are you Mr. Ducky?" I won't lie, I was actually a bit surprised by this, until I got a closer look at his sign. You see, it wasn't actually blank. It actually had Ducky written on it. And the reason why I couldn't initially see it is because he had chose to write the name on it with a bright yellow highlighter. So it was practically invisible under the fluorescent lights of the airport. And what's worse is I don't speak Czech and his English was crap. So it would have been an absolute mess to try point out his mistake to him. So I had to act like I was the idiot who didn't see the sign, which really pissed me off because he was the idiot, not me. But I did accidentally get my own back on him. You see, the Czech Republic is one of those countries that operates on a tipping culture. And on the day I arrived, I didn't realise that the tipping culture extended to drivers. So when he dropped us off at the hotel, he was left empty-handed. All he got was a "Hell yeah, man, you drove the shit out of that minibus." So we spent a week there doing mostly touristy things, tried the food, seen the sights, usual boring stuff. Well, not boring, it was lovely, a real postcard of a city. Food and drink was lovely, the people were friendly, all that. It's just boring to listen to it be told back. Except on like day 3 when we went to Prague Zoo and snapped loads of photos. I even snapped this one of a duck's pond. Clearly, ducks being the legends that they are, were on a mad bender the night before and were after getting sick all over the pond. So it's good to know the duck army's representing all over the world. But the one thing that did happen at the zoo that stood out to us was when we were taking couples photos. You know the type. Let's put on big fake smiles and pretend we're the perfect couple so all our friends on Facebook will be jealous when we post it kind of photo. But just as one of the photos was being taken, a small child standing a few feet away in front of us fell over and absolutely ate the ground. It was such a sudden drop, he didn't even attempt to put out his hands to brace it. It was just like, I'm going down. Needless to say, it was one of the few photos we have together with both of us sporting an actual smile. A couple of things did annoy me while I was there, one of which, as previously mentioned, is mandatory tipping culture. I hate tipping culture. Why am I paying your staff? You hired them. You're supposed to pay them out of the hefty profit you just made off me from what you charge me, you silly cunt. Also, we went to this Italian place for dinner one evening because it just seemed like the right thing to do in the heart of Prague. And there was this absolute cartoon of an Italian man waiting on tables there. He was fat, he had really greasy slick back hair, he was wearing a shirt with the top 3 buttons open and a gold chain on. I couldn't make up a more offensive stereotype if I tried. A real slimy fucker. And every time a woman would walk in, he'd be straight over and start soaking her in a thick layer of creepy flirting that you'd need to use 4 litres of bleach to get off you. Only short of licking his lips and saying, "Hey baby, you want pumping?" I actually reckon he owned a share in the business because after a while when he was talking to a group of now quite uncomfortable women, what I can only assume was his brother stormed out from behind the counter and started shouting at him in Italian while pointing at the other tables that creepy McFatarse was ignoring. My guess from the vibe I got from the argument was this was far from the first time tables had been ignored by Fat Tony here. But after he was done shouting at his brother, he shook his hands up into the sky and exclaimed, "Mamma mia!" I won't lie, I nearly shat a kidney, I was laughing so hard. It's like I walked into the set of a 90s cartoon. Mamma mia! Now, I just want to tell you one thing before I move on. I am quite competitive over stupid things. I'll give you an example. I know a YouTuber, The Right Opinion. I have a lot of time for this man. He's a lovely bloke. You couldn't meet a nicer chap, and he puts out great quality videos. I've even had him over onto the channel a few times in the past. Consider checking him out if any of these kind of videos tickle your fancy, and I highly recommend the 2 videos he did on the rise and fall of Grade A Under A if that interests you. Now, once upon a time, me and The Right Opinion were neck and neck in subscribers. We were about 4,000 to 5,000 mark, I think. And this went on for some time where we'd keep edging past each other every other day. And then one day, all of a sudden, he blew up, getting himself over 100,000 subscribers in the space of a few months. Now, I have nothing but respect and good things to say about this man, and it's not often you can say that about YouTuber success these days, let's face it. And on the face of it, I was absolutely chuffed for him. Congratulations all round, well deserved and all that. But on the inside, I was fucking livid. Not because I put any value on a number of subscribers I have or any other that ego stroking nonsense, but because I had lost the race that we were having that only I knew we were in. It wasn't like wishing death upon him or anything crazy like that. Well, maybe just a little bit of career derailing scandal wouldn't have gone amiss, but I'm fine now. I've gotten over it and I'm not harbouring any kind of resentment towards him at all. No, I haven't heard anything about those slanderous rumours that he's pretending to be gay for sake of more views. Now stop it. What? He eats pineapple pizza in the bath. Now come on lads, those kind of nasty rumours could harm a man's reputation, allowing other YouTubers to catch up. So that's the kind of petty competitive person you're enabling by supporting me. I tell you about this competitive nature because when we arrived back in Ireland at the end of the week and we were heading through the airport, there was this fella and his child walking in front of us. So I decided in my own head that this was a race. So I began to speed up in an attempt to beat him to the gate. And in typical fashion, nobody else knows this is a race. This is just me being weird, as I've decided to bravely outwalk this man and his young child. But I'm starting to walk faster than the acceptable speed for walking. And at this point, I'm starting to leave my travel stress missus behind. And she starts barking at me to slow down, which puts me at a bit of an impasse. To my left, I can ignore the pleas of my missus and put a sour bookend on this romantic week we've had together in order to win a silly race that only I know I'm in right now. And to my right, I can lovingly wait for my already stressed out travel mode OCD bag burden missus to catch up so we can bring this holiday to an end argument free, abandoning the race entirely. So I go for the obvious choice and think, fuck her, she's dead weight, she's only been holding me back and winners need to make sacrifices. So I hit the NOS button and start fucking flooring it up the airport, walking at completely reckless speeds. I've never walked so fast in all my life. I had to actively think about how I was walking. I was going so fast. Out of fear, I lost control and wrote myself off. My shoes were screeching as I weaved in and out of people. There was grocery stands being smashed to bits. There was security in a golf cart behind me telling me to pull over to the side of the hall. It was intense. But to hell with them, because I was starting to gain some serious ground. I was right in his tail and the finish line just came into sight. Now I knew if I just really buried the shoe, I could just about creep past him at the finish, but it was going to be close. That's when the man and the kid made a fatal flaw on the home stretch. Presumably tired from all the walking and lugging around luggage as well as a child, he veered sharply to one side and headed straight towards one of them moving walkways that was running along the same stretch of hallway we were walking on. And that's when I knew I had this in the bag. He'd be standing on that, looking at me, absolutely booting it on by on the proper walking side. Now, in hindsight, I can tell you that he was a nutcase like myself and knew it was a race. Because when he got onto the moving walkway, he kept walking. And because of the walkway, he was now moving at twice the speed, which means I had absolutely no chance of passing him out at this point without breaking into a full-on sprint. And I know he knew it was a race because when he got onto it, he looked back over his shoulder and looked right at me with a glance that says, "Nice try, Duckman," and powered his way across the finish line to victory, leaving me to soak in a pool of my own bitter defeat once again. But thankfully I've matured a bit over the years. Look, he won fair and square and I'm not going to get petty over it. I'm okay with it. But now that I'm recalling this, it has me thinking, I didn't really get a good look at the man and the child. But I can confidently tell you who it was. It was actually the right opinion and his son from his secret straight family. So that's the video on my trip to Prague, and I hope you enjoyed it. Just wanted to use this end bit to give a shout out to Skumkin and Rokata, two massively talented artists who helped me make these videos look so good. Of course, they'll be linked in the description if you want to give them a follow on Twitter, because you never know when you might need a good reliable artist. Skumkin is a newcomer to the behind the scenes of the channel and did a great thumbnail for this video, which you can see in all its glory here. She does everything you can expect from a good artist: profile pictures, channel headers, designs for t-shirts, posters, etc. She's out to prove herself and has a surprisingly fast turnaround, so if you need any work at all that may involve an artist, she's your gal. Rokata is my tried and true go-to for character designs, as you might have seen in a few flashy extra background characters in this video, as well as the characters used for Just a Robot and Serpent Mythos in my work stories video that I forgot to mention at the end, and it's been eating me with guilt ever since. Of course, Rokata is a fantastic artist. He does do commissions and has been helping me do art for the channel for years now. As you can see, all these characters are his, so you know he's a good sort. Their help is a big reason to why my upload schedule has become way more consistent lately, as some of you have noticed. And I think artists do get very overlooked on these kind of videos, so it would mean a lot if you guys can go show them some support over on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you lads and ladies in the next one. Now, once upon a time, me and the right opinion. There's a woman outside my window, standing in the middle of the road with a pram, just staring at her phone. Yes, that is a car coming, my dear. You might want to move aside, you tick cunt.